Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. I'm Sean Duhamel. Today is Friday, January 13th. Friday the 13th, everybody. Thank you so much for joining with us and tuning in again this week. Now, before I jump into the news of the week, let me remind everybody that today kicks off our 2023 area meeting schedule. We will be in Tewksbury this morning. Our meeting kicks off at 11 a.m. at the Tewksbury Wilmington Elks, located at 777 South Street in Tewksbury. We're hoping for a great crowd. This is a new location for us. There appears to be plenty of parking, plenty of room inside of the Elks facility. So we're looking forward to seeing our Tewksbury area members. Now, we will be providing a full list of upcoming meetings in the March newsletter, which goes to press at the end of this month. You'll have it in your mailboxes by the middle of February. But in addition to today's meeting, of course, we will be meeting on Wednesday, February 1st at the Pompano Beach Civic Center. This will be our only Florida meeting that's planned so far for 2023. Again, if you're in the Pompano Beach area, hopefully you'll have time to come on over and see us. All of our local area meetings kick off at 11 a.m. The reason why I'm pointing that out is a week from today, on Friday, January 20th, we will be hosting a special Teletown Hall meeting. Of course, our Teletown Hall meetings are all virtual meetings. Those meetings kick off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The reason for the time difference is quite simple. Our Teletown Hall meetings are open and available to all of our members spread throughout the entire country. So we want to have a more timely meeting time in the early afternoon to accommodate our members living out in the West Coast and elsewhere who want to participate in these meetings, but we don't want to do it too early in the morning, which would just be a little bit too early for some of our members living outside of the East Coast area. So 11 a.m. start time for our in-person meetings, 1 o'clock start time for our Teletown Hall meetings. Now, next Friday's Teletown Hall meeting is going to be a very important, very special event. We will be joined by the Group Insurance Commission and their Executive Director, Matt Vino, who will have a full report for our members on the GIC's procurement process that's been underway now for the better part of a year or more. The decisions have been coming in fast and furious from the GIC, starting back in October with the selection of the health insurance plans. Then in December was the selection of the pharmaceutical plans. This month's meeting, which takes place this coming Thursday on January 19th, the GIC will outline its plan design recommendations for the coming fiscal year. Now, plan design really is where the rubber meets the road in terms of your health insurance benefits. Plan design encompasses everything from copayments and deductibles to tiering and other various details of what makes every individual health insurance plan unique. So this coming meeting on Thursday is going to be super important. That information will be shared with all of you on Friday. This will also give you the opportunity to speak directly with Matt and his staff, ask them questions, voice your opinions or your concerns or any thoughts you might have that comes to your health insurance or your dental or your vision benefits. If you're insured under the GIC, next Friday is the opportunity for you, to hear directly from those responsible for managing your benefits, as well as for you to give feedback to them, which we really appreciate the willingness of Matt and his team at the GIC to work with us and to, most importantly, make sure that your voices are heard as part of this process before any of these decisions have been finalized. Now, for those of you who are local retirees and are receiving your health insurance benefits from the local community that you retired from, you may ask, well, what does this all have to do with me? I don't get my insurance through the GIC. Well, as we have continued to try to explain, the decisions and the policies that are implemented at the state level can very quickly become local health insurance policy as well. So we will be watching very closely the decisions or the recommendations rather that are announced on Thursday, just because of the impact that can have for all public retirees as well as active public employees across the Commonwealth. This is really important. So pay attention to this video next week, our weekly email message, as well as taking the opportunity to participate in next Friday's Teletown Hall if you're available. Now, this particular time frame, this week and next week, our main focus here at the association is on refiling our legislative package here in Massachusetts for the current legislative session, which of course kicked off a week ago when the legislature was sworn in last Wednesday, followed by the inauguration of Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll last Thursday. Now, next week on Wednesday, the other remaining constitutional officers will be sworn in for their new terms. So whether it's State Treasurer Deb Goldberg, Auditor Diana DiZoglio, Attorney General Andrea Campbell, and of course our good friend Bill Galvin, the Secretary of State, all four of these office holders will officially take office for their new terms next Wednesday. And then on Friday is the bill filing deadline for the 2023-24 session. Now, you may know that here in Massachusetts, the legislative session runs for 2 years. So all of the bills that we filed for 2021 and 2022, all of that legislation expired on last week on January 3rd, I believe, or 2nd. January 3rd was last Tuesday. Already losing track of my days here. But last week, all of those bills expired. They all turned into a pumpkin. We have to refile that legislation and start everything brand new going forward. Now, I'm going to use the time over the next several weeks and months to fully explain the bills that we're filing for the current session and try to give you a little bit of insight into what's behind these issues, take a little bit of a deeper dive, if you will, into the specifics and why we're focused on certain things. But out of the chute, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the cost of living adjustment, both at the state level as well as at the local level. Because over the past year to year and a half, we have put a lot of time and effort and focus on making improvements to your cost of living benefits, whether it be at the state level with state and teacher retirees, or at the local level spread throughout the 102 local retirement systems across Massachusetts. Now, this past year, we were very successful in implementing a 5% COLA for state and teacher retirees, as well as a 5% COLA option available across 102 local retirement systems. That legislation was finalized last fall. It is now in the process of being implemented at the local level. As of today, 17 of the 102 local retirement systems have voted to increase the COLA from the 3% benefit that was approved last summer for FY23 to the new 5% COLA benefit that's been authorized through this special legislation. Of those 17 retirement systems, 10 of them have received full approval from their local government entity. So in the case of a city, it would be the city council and the mayor. A town would be the board of selectmen, and a county or regional retirement system would be spread throughout the member units of their community. So of the 17 systems or retirement boards that have voted for the additional 2% COLA, bringing it up to a total of 5, 10 of those have fully implemented and passed the benefit, and those adjustments retroactive back to July 1st of 2022, that adjustment or increase will begin to show up in retiree checks as early as this month. And I'm delighted that the very first community in Massachusetts to approve the additional COLA was my hometown, the town of Plymouth, where I grew up. And I served on the Town of Plymouth Retirement Board for over 20 years, and I can't be prouder of the work that Tom Kelly and Dale Weber, Jerry Coughlin, Lynn Barrett, and the other members of the board and the staff have done on this issue to very quickly approve it, get it before the local Board of Selectmen, and get it done to benefit our public retirees. Now, over the past year, 40 local retirement systems have also voted to increase the local COLA base. Now, across Massachusetts, that base ranges from as low as $12,000 that was first implemented back in 1998, all the way up to this point in time to a high of $18,000. Now, as of today, there are 7 retirement systems out of the 102 local systems that remain at the low level of $12,000. And we know that a great amount of work continues to take place across the state to increase that benefit. We're very hopeful, but that by the time the new fiscal year starts on July 1st, that all or most, if not all, of those 7 systems will have increased the base to a level above $13,000. We also know that at the same time, we have a growing number of local systems that are looking to go beyond 18. There is no local cap or restriction on how high the local COLA base can go. It's all driven by the finances of that local system, the finances of the community in terms of what's affordable, and every system needs to make decisions based on their own circumstances. So across Massachusetts right now, we have a number of systems, predominantly the regional retirement systems, but some municipal systems as well, that have a COLA base as high as $18,000. We know that some of those systems are now looking at going beyond $18,000. Now, why this is important, beyond the fact that it would put more money in the pockets of retirees, is the fact that going all the way back to 1997 in COLA reform, the goal was to maintain a COLA base that would be close to, if not equal to, the average Social Security benefit paid here in Massachusetts. Now, back in the late 90s, that average benefit was somewhere around $12,000, which was one of the reasons why the COLA base amount back in 1998 started out at $12,000. Well, of course, that has grown over time with inflation. Today, the average the average Social Security benefit here in Massachusetts is around $21,000. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, particularly at the state and teacher level, to increase that base, and that's going to be a huge focus of ours for this legislative session. But the local level, we have local retirement board members combined with local municipal officials working to increase the base. And as I pointed out in last week's message, the town of Wellesley is the first system on record voting for a higher COLA base. It would be phased in over the next 3 fiscal years, 19, 20, and 21. This, even though it has received the approval of the Wellesley Retirement Board, it still needs to be approved by the Wellesley Town Meeting that will be meeting, I think, late this winter or early spring. So there's some work that needs to be done. But Wellesley is one of the systems that's leading the way in terms of fully funding their system in the foreseeable future, as well as making sure that those asset gains and the success of the system is being shared with the retirees for whom the system exists to benefit in the first place. So in addition to the work being done on the base, we're also focused on Beacon Hill of passing legislation creating a new COLA benefit that we are referring to as either the senior COLA or the enhanced COLA. What this would do if it was passed into law is add an additional $150 a year on top of the traditional COLA payment for those retirees who have been retired for at least 15 years and served in their government job or their career for a minimum of 20 years. So it's really a benefit that would be geared towards long-time career government workers, as well as the third criteria would be that your pension benefit would have to be equal to or less than the average for the system that you retired from. So if you are a state retiree, the average benefit right now is about $38,000 a year. Of course, that continues to grow. But if you were a state retiree who had been retired for 15 years, who was a career worker, so you had at least 20 years of credible service and your pension benefit was less than $38,000, you would receive the additional $150 as part of your annual COLA. Now, for retirees who have been out for 20 or more years, that additional $100, it's $100, not $150, I apologize, would go up to $200 additional per year with the same kind of criteria built in. So what this is designed to do is a benefit for career public servants who have been retired for 15 or more years, whose pensions have fallen behind and have not quite kept up with inflation. And it's just a small step in the right direction to try to provide an additional benefit for some of our older retirees. So those are the issues in terms of the COLA. that we are going to be heavily focused on. Now, Governor Healy will be filing her budget in about a month and a half or so, by late February, early March. We are working with her administration now to put these issues on their radar screen. We continue to work with the legislative leadership in both the House and the Senate for the same reason, and we're very hopeful that through this next budget cycle for FY24, we'll be able to increase the state and teacher COLA base up to a new level, hopefully $16,000, as well as pass legislation creating the senior COLA benefit that would take effect immediately for state and teacher retirees, but unfortunately would have to be local option for the 102 local retirement systems. There's really no way around the local option provision. State law is very specific. The legislature really can't, in most cases, pass in what's known as an unfunded mandate. This is long-standing practice going back many, many decades here in Massachusetts to allow for a local option, and that was really strengthened back in the early 80s with Proposition 2.5. So we'll continue to work with our local retirement board members, particularly the 2 elected members on every board, as well as our local retirees to get these things done. But hopefully, if you're in the Tewksbury area, please join us today, this morning at 11 a.m. We're going to have some great door prizes. We'll also be available to answer your questions. Again, next Friday at 1 o'clock, we'll be hosting the GIC for a teletown hall meeting. And we will be back to you again next week with all the latest news regarding your health care. Take care, everybody.